All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of This Weekend Charts via Carnivore Trades and Wall Street for Main Street. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it this week. So markets here with a pretty good rebound. We had a drop on Monday. And we talked about this actually in the live day trading room. We said watch for 510 SPY as being a possible pivot point, and we hit that, and we haven't really looked back. We had a couple of gaps Tuesday, Monday to Tuesday, and then Tuesday to Wednesday, and we are now pushing higher above this key level. We've been talking about this for the last month, really, ever since we broke through. I said this will be a key level, a bull bear line to get through, and we are starting to crack above that right now, and we are into we're now above the March lows essentially, and technically now on the monthly chart we are green for the month. We still have a few days left in the month of April. I think we have 3 left, or excuse me, not green. QQQ is green for the month of April, not the SPX. SPY is close though, but nonetheless we are ticking. We'll say we're flat for the month, as opposed to down big, which we were before. But nonetheless, we are into that gap area now. So there is some air in between here and 56.80 or so, which is where we closed. And you can see here now this, which we talked about previously, was a big bull bear line before, and I would say that that's probably going to be the case here again. If we take a look and just draw a fib here, we're above the 50% fib. And the 618 is right around 56.50, and then you got the trend line right here, right above that. And then of course this previous all-time high right in that vicinity. So right in this zone here, this little sweet spot, you got the 50 MA in that area. There's going to be a lot of resistance up. You got the gap fill. There's a lot of resistance up there. So that will be the big tell moving forward. I think if bulls can reclaim that. And again, I don't think they would straight away, especially if we're just melting up into that. It's going to be resistance if we're going, if we're starting to get overbought into that, which we are not right now. I know we've traveled a lot in the last 4 days, but we're still just barely above a 50 on the RSI right now. But if bulls are able to pull back here and then reclaim that, that repairs a lot of this damage, a lot of that damage. So this will be a important area moving forward. What's driving this right now is partly market is starting to kind of price in Trump walking things back more, and the market's kind of calling his bluff. He's even walked back a little bit, even just recently today, saying we'll be reasonable on tariffs, thinks the market are adjusting to tariff policy. China themselves haven't really budged that much, and it just seems the market is starting to price in kind of a, I guess more a less hawkish, I shouldn't say hawkish, a less tough Trump, if that makes sense. But in any case, that's a big area up there around 56.50. Now, I don't know if we're going to go there straight away, but we've had a nice little rebound here, and we'll leave it at that. We are above that big bull bear line around 5,500 SPX. We've seen a lot of sectors catch back up. We had some decent earnings this week too. Google having a really good bid. That's up 2% on the day. Elon stepping down from Doge, helping out Tesla. That's up 10%. They had earnings the other day. A nice little breakout of that small little wedge there. That may want to get back to 300 here in the not too distant future. But nonetheless, again, nice recovery here for the markets for the most part. Triple Qs, you can see breaking out of this steep down sloping trend line. And again, that has the gap right up there around 476, 476.15. And then you've got the pivot high with the 50 MA at 480. So big levels here. You can draw a fib down there. A little bit above that, you got 487, and then the 200 moving average. So again, good move here, good recovery for the markets, and we'll see if that can continue a little bit more. My guess is we do have a little bit of upside left, and then it'll be really, it'll really be the time for truth telling. If we do reject here, which I do think we will at least pull back off of it. It's just a matter of, do we really sharply decline, or is it just a higher low? We could also fail to confirm here, but My guess is though a Friday close above this, which is what we're about to do, kind of is enough. I mean, we don't need to see a secondary close if we have a Friday close. But nonetheless, good rebound here. IWM flat on the day. That was leading. I talked about this last week. I said, was this a precursor to what's going on this week? IWM was the only index that was green last week. Why does that matter? Because small caps are risk on. And if they're down and if they're lagging, that's a risk off signal. If they're outperforming, usually risk on, and that so far has been the case here this week. See the diamond here up 26 cents, that up on the week as well. SMH, take a look here. We're above our nexus, right? We came down, we retested the trend line, failed, retested the area again, failed, retested the area right here again, failed, and now we're above. So weekly chart, SMH repairing. Monthly chart, just a big old slice of this area so far. And we'll see if it closes. The monthly close will tell us a lot. Take a look at IGV. Look at this weekly chart here too. I mean, you know, reclaiming that level, big wide range bull candles. So I still like software a lot, especially relative to chips. That said, you know, 96 is still going to be a big, giant pivot point for this. But nice recovery there. We got transports lagging. Perhaps that's a point for the bears here. You still have a nice inside bar though. So this is still a good reversal bar, and we're inside of that. This may catch up. Still got work to do to get back to, you know, 14.5, but transport's lagging today. They weren't really lagging all that much earlier in the week, but they are today. So we'll definitely make note of that. Bonds, you know, held up for the most part this week. And, you know, you can see TLT here having a green week. We talked about that. I said it's in positive gamma, really moving forward for pretty much the foreseeable future. And yeah, we had a good week this week. So I think we're up like $1, $1.10, $1.20 on TLT, which, you know, for TLT is a pretty good move. And you have daily higher highs now with a higher low. So TLT trying to catch back up, and that has been certainly helping the market out right now. So that long end of the yield curve has been a big issue for Besant, for Trump, for the U.S. markets, and seeing that relief does help the market out a little bit here. You can see the dollar index also getting a bounce this week too. That helps out as well, although not too much. I mean, this still got to get through that 100 handle. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that has helped out. You can see the 30-year, or excuse me, the 10-year back down to 4.26. And then we got the 30-year at 4.733. So it's still elevated, but it has backed off a little bit. XHB here, tight range. This has still got to get through 97.50. But again, green like everything else. VNQ been green pretty much all week as well. And I was able to reclaim the 20-day. Banks held up. XLF reclaiming the 200 and 20 moving average. But banks hanging in there. ARE, KBE also back above that 20. And then broker dealers here, really nice recovery. And they're trying to clear that red bar there. So reclaiming a lot of this trend here. Oil short, excuse me, oil has a lot of shorts. I read something earlier this week that longs on as far as COTs, they're only in the, I think there's only 10%, or they're in the bottom 10 percentile of longs, which is really crowded short. And it's just so, it always seems these macro traders are always short oil. They always have an excuse to be short oil. But right now, I don't dislike the pattern. In fact, I think oil can, you know, may have like a little zigzag pattern here, back up to 66, 67. And if yields break out, you have to think that's not going to be negative for oil here. But right now, still got to get through this 20 moving average, got to get through that 64 handle. And if we can do that, it can work its way back to 66, 67 here. XLE also bouncing this week. That still has a lot of work to do, as does XOP and OIH, but you know, they've come off the lows. Uranium stocks this week, CCJ, nice recovery. So again, kind of like a bull pullback pattern. We talked about that last week. Little dip Monday and then right back up, now back above the 50 MA. Need to see some more work though. Need to see 46. Really reclaim here to get anything going, and then URNM is right back into this big pivot point here. And that is a big level for that as well. URNJ also with a nice recovery this week too, getting back above 14. It's really got to clear 18 though to kind of reverse this trend here. Nat gas losing $3, so I'm just gonna say this one's kind of in no man's land now. It might get a bit, bounce here at this pivot, but weekly chart's done a lot of damage here. You could have made a case that we were kind of consolidating bull here, but we've done a lot of damage here over the last couple of weeks. So I'd be careful with nat gas here going into the summer. Kind of an inverted cycle this year. Usually it bottoms in February, March, not top. A little bit of a reversal there. Dollar index, again, still got to break above 100. This is into a massive level. And it is oversold still. Still very oversold. So we'll see if it gets some sort of a squeeze or a rebound. But definitely hanging on by a thread there. We had gold this week. That finally backed off of the highs. So gold pulling back in a little bit. And I believe we saw record inflows this week too. And if you're following the markets closely like I am, yeah, there's record inflows. If you're following the markets closely like I do, you'll notice every time the Asian markets open, pretty much in the evening, right around here, they bid. And right here, Asian markets open, they bid. Asian markets open, it bids. It doesn't even matter if we're uptrending or downtrending. That's when they're really buying this thing up. Now, maybe we have a short-term top in here. Maybe it's a longer-term top. Who knows? You did have a lot of volume the other day. And again, gold coming down does help the market rally a little bit. You can see us backing off the highs right now on the spiders as we get into Friday afternoon here. But nonetheless, it does help the markets rally a little bit to see gold back off. As it is kind of it's an uncertainty play. It's a risk-off play right now. So we'll see if that does continue. I think at best you'll see consolidation though. But, it is a little bit of a crowded trade. Just be careful here if you're trading it, trail your stop loss. I certainly wouldn't, chase the highs here, but this is still a very, very, I've seen gold go parabolic and it can go higher than you think. It did get to 3,500 though, which did exceed my targets by about $400. So just be aware of that. But very strong here. GDX has pulled back as well. SSGDXJ, but again, a lot of ground to cover here. This is a big, look at the monthly here. This is a big rounded bottom here. That's a long base. So maybe we do need to do some consolidation, but I think the next leg, I think the miners will catch up. Silver here speaking of catching up, silver has caught up. And that was one of the things I talked about earlier this week. I said silver catching up to gold, that could be positive for the stock market, kind of a risk on signal. And that was the case a little bit. You're seeing silver, it is off the highs as of today, but it pumped up nicely on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, gold was red. So we saw that kind of relationship change a little bit. $35 still is a massive level for silver though. This is a really strong monthly pattern. And all we did was test the monthly 20 MA. So this can still go through that when it wants to. I'm in the camp seasonally. Maybe we're getting top heavy on PMs. They might need to do some more backing and filling. But and again, that's the level there on silver. Palladium is starting to firm up a little bit here. This pattern's not bad, at least in the short term. I would give it the upside bias, maybe to 1020, 1025. If it can break through that bull pattern there. Palladium's kind of sloppy. It's trying to work on like a lower high here. I don't really love it. We kind of have like a little down sloping trend line. If we could break through that, maybe we could see 1050 again. So Palladium, platinum a little choppier. Copper, again with another up week. It backed off today, but came off the lows here. Just look at this ridiculous move, like all-time highs to 52-week lows within like not even 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks later it's like all the way back almost up to the highs again. Just insane, just a crazy range. Copper been all over the map here, and another sign that markets were going to recover here likely was Bitcoin. Again, this held up, had a nice bull pattern last week, and it's broken out nicely. So nice tight range, right? And nice breakout, and it's getting back to that 96 handle. I do think there is some resistance up here. In fact, I know there is. Look at that pivot high right there. It tried to pump, right? So all these buyers here are underwater. It broke down. It tried to retrace. They became sellers. Back here, they should become sellers again. There's a lot of supply right up here. That doesn't mean that it can't break through that eventually, but I think right now it's going to take a lot of work. And who knows, you might even do one of these again. That's pretty much all what we did all last year, right? Just range, just range, just range. Then finally we busted through. So that's kind of what I'm expecting here for Bitcoin right now. But nice pump this week, and it helped the markets recover, I think, or at least was a leading indicator for the markets to recover here. But outside of that, again, as long as the market is above 5,500, I think we can. I would give us the upside bias up into like 5,650, and then from there, it's really kind of the moment of truth, and we'll see if if we're gonna have another leg down or not. So, anyways, guys, I'll wrap it up here. Again, you guys take care. Don't forget to come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on ConoverTrades.com. We'll see you guys all next week.